Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, everybody.
Oh, you should have gone live.
Forgetting you have to push the button twice in order to actually go live. There's a button, and then there's a pop-up and another button, and I always forget about the second button.
Yeah, you should have gone live about 2 minutes ago.
Yeah, we probably should have. That's okay. We can rehash what Bill just told us as soon as Steve gives us the rundown of who's in chat.
Good morning, everybody. Get back to the beginning. We got Allison. Good morning, Allie. John Dawson, Rob T-Man, Michael McCarville. Good morning, Mike Digger, Evan, Steve Childers. Uh-oh. Look who popped in. Oh, man. Okay, we got
that's not
John.
going to be good.
John Schoolkill Rick Alley. Good morning, John. Oh, let's see. Gerald Stewart. Good morning, Gerald. Oh, we got Lee Hanfield. Okay, good morning, Lee. Oh, gosh. Let's see. My tablet's kind of screwing up this morning. But let's see. We've got Al Marr. Good morning, Al. Dave BNSF. Floyd Robbins. Good morning, Floyd. Kyle Stevens. Good morning, Kyle. Dwight Curley. Did I miss anybody? Good morning, everybody.
I don't think so. Well, I see we've got Claude here coming to us live from the middle of the Gulf of Mexico.
Actually, a pretty good signal for him right now where he's at.
Yeah. What was that you were showing us, Claude?
Yeah, he can't hear us.
Well, he's old and dead, so that's not surprising.
I'm surprised you can even walk.
Yeah, and the good thing about this is we can talk all the crap we want about him, and he doesn't even know we're talking about him.
He can't hear it.
Yeah, he'll sit down and watch the broadcast and go, what the?
I'm trying to find a place where I'm just trying to find a place where I can hear you, but now I'm out here in Central Park and it's a little quieter out here. I walked into one of the bars that the music hall actually where it's pretty quiet usually, but they were playing music in there, so I couldn't hear anything in there either.
Turn your phone sideways, Claude.
Say again?
Turn your phone sideways.
Hey, you're breaking up.
You're up and down. Turn your phone sideways.
It's easier to hold it the other way.
Well, so what?
Let me get some of this stuff turned off here. There we go.
Cruise.
So this is the cruise ship, huh?
Yeah, this is Harmony of the Seas, and this is our last day. We'll be back in Galveston in the morning, and then have a 9-hour drive back home, 9.5-hour drive back home. But we've had a blast this week, and most of the family's here, so we had a good trip.
That's good.
How much money?
And where?
There you go.
Where all did you go?
Part of Central Park.
Holy crap! That's on the ship.
If you've never seen it, that's the other side.
That is crazy.
That's amazing.
And this right across from me, this is the Rising Tide bar. It actually goes up and down 3 decks, so it's pretty cool too.
Now, are those real plants or fake plants?
They are real plants. They water them and everything.
Wow.
In fact, when we were on the Allure, which is a similar ship, last March, they had a freeze in Houston while it was docked, and it killed 90% of their plants. So when we got on the ship, this was all bare in here, which was kind of sad because it's such a beautiful place on the ship, and it's usually really quiet in here. And a lot of the specialty restaurants are off of this walkway area here, but there's usually no music playing except at night. So it's a real nice place to get away from the crowds and, read a book or whatever you're going to do. But anyway, kind of missed not being on the show last week, but I'll have to watch it. I haven't had a chance to watch it yet.
Well, Mike McCarville says that was that an iceberg, and Dave BNSF says it looks like it'd be easy to get lost.
Yeah.
And Mike also wants to know if it's a 3-hour tour, and tell Ginger he said hello.
Yeah, well, we've had pretty good weather, other than it's just been hot and humid, you know.
See, I would
You're
much rather
expected to
speak
be
with
in-
Mary Ann than Ginger personally.
I agree.
Yeah. Mary Ann's got Ginger beat.
I agree with you, Bill.
Probably only a debate from people in our generation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I just wanted to pop in and say hi to everybody. It's hard to hear you guys on here because there is still extraneous noise out here, but I just wanted to pop in and say hi, and
Okay.
I'll critique last week's show and this week's show later.
Good.
And then I'll be back next week. So
Cool. Now I'm not sure if I'll be here next week or not. It's going to depend on when my daughter gets here. If she gets here Friday night, I probably won't be in the show. But if she hasn't showed up by 9 o'clock on Saturday, I'll probably go ahead and be here. But then for sure the week after, I won't be here.
okay.
Hey.
Well, I'll be there next week, so that's not a problem.
Well, let's see. Bernard says, Claude, thank you for the package. He also wants to know how the Cabana girls are.
How the who?
Cabana girls. I don't know. He says Cabana. I don't know.
Cabana?
Cabana. Okay.
Cabana
Cabana,
girls?
Cabana, tomato.
I don't know. This is the most I get outside on this trip. This is open air out here. I mean, you know, there's the sky, so it's relatively warm out here, but it's the breeze is blowing a little bit in here. But it's been too hot to go outside for me. So I haven't been outside where the cabanas are.
Well, that sucks, man. You go on a nice cruise and you stay in your room.
I didn't stay in my room. We've been doing stuff. But, you know, last night we went to the shows and stuff like that. So, you know, they put a Broadway show on these bigger ships. They do a Broadway show. And so we got to see Grease, the Broadway production of Grease. And then last night, the same cast did a show. It was called Columbus. It was about his distant relative. It was pretty funny. They did a really good job with it. Their entertainment on Royal Caribbean ships is the best at sea, I think.
And what's the name of the one you're on?
This is the Harmony.
Harmony,
yeah. Right now it's sailing out of Galveston. They move them around from time to time. Last year they had the Allure in Galveston. And Galveston's good for us because we can drive down. The problem is it goes to the same places. So that's another reason we don't get off the ship. You know, we hit Roatan, Honduras, and then Cozumel and Costa Maya, Mexico. And we've been there twice. So just in the last year, we've been there twice at each of those. So we didn't get off. But the rest of the family went out and did stuff. So Brenda and I just sat and played dominoes and drank. Talk to the waiters, that sort of thing.
I'm not going to touch that one.
Oh, it's a good time. It's relaxing, that's for sure.
Sparky wants to know where your railroad hat is, Claude. Did you not pack it?
You know, I had one of my Durango Silverton loco hats that I brought with me, and I left it in the car, the parking lot. So I haven't had a hat all week.
And get you a straw hat.
Well, you know, I looked for one, but they didn't have any that I liked, and they were all you know, you buy stuff on the ship, it's real expensive. So
maybe Bill can send you one of them little triangle straw hats from Thailand.
Potentially.
No, he has one from what I hear.
That's something that's possible, because when I take a suitcase, I take and I leave, and then I bring the suitcase back almost empty. I'll see if I can't get you a hat there, Claude.
I wouldn't wear one of those on the ship because there's so many people from Southeast Asia, from all over the world that work on the ship. In fact, my daughter, they have a scavenger hunt to find names and places where the crew and stuff are from, and they have to sign the paper. And I think the only one she's got left is the captain. She's got everybody else on the list, so she's doing pretty good with that. But they're from all over the world, and I wouldn't want to, something like that offend somebody.
You don't want to offend anybody,
Yeah, yeah. The crew on the ships does a fantastic job. People gripe about the prepaid gratuities that you got to pay when you book the cruise. And we always give a lot more over that because they do such a good job. And they're usually from countries that, are impoverished, and they're here working. A lot of them are married and have families, and they're here on the ship for 9 months, sending all their money back home. So,
Wow.
we really try to help them out with that when we're on the ship. And even in the casino, when I'm playing in the casino, I always have bets up for the dealers. And it helps because you get to know them real well, and it just makes the game a lot more fun. So that's what we do.
Cool.
Yeah. Now, you said you put bets up for the dealer. How does that work?
Well, I play craps, and so you can put as little as $1 on any bet, even if it's a $10 minimum table. And if that bet wins, then they get to match the dollar that's there and put it in their tote bin.
Oh, okay.
And then they divvy that up at the end of the cruise. But it lets them know you're thinking about their work and stuff. It's like tipping them like a waiter or something.
Yeah.
Same kind of deal. But they're getting to play the game with you.
Okay.
So they enjoy that. And they do a lot better job for you if you're doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they keep track of your points. That's why I play, because I play to win cruises. And I just got my certificate this morning, and we'll have to sit down and decide which one we're going to take off of that. But I got several to choose from. I got like 6 pages of cruises to choose from.
Oh,
Just depends on what room I want and what area it's cruising out of, that sort of thing. So,
it must be tough, Claude. I swear.
Yeah.
Yeah. It cost me a little bit of money. The tables weren't real kind this week. They weren't early. Early on, we were doing real good, and then the last 3 nights it's just not been good at all. But it's still a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And you only take as much money as you can afford to lose to a casino.
Yeah.
And then always do it for the entertainment. Don't do it for anything else. Because you're never going to win the house payment, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm going to let you guys go so you can talk about something besides cruising.
All right, Claude.
Hey.
Good
All right,
song.
guys.
Good song.
And I'll see everybody next week.
Yep.
Next week.
That's good. Enjoy
All
your
right.
travels.
Take
Take
care,
care.
Claude.
Bye-bye.
Now, while we were in the green room, just before we started, Bill was giving us an update on Jerry's railroad. I was under the impression that his railroad was still in your garage, but I guess it's not.
Oh, no. It's been at his home. Oh, it's been at least a month now. We took it over there once I got the track work, the ballast, and the weathering of the track finished up. So we took it over in the back of his vehicle, got it mounted onto the casework that a friend of his there had built for him, basically a desk and storage. So it's been in his home now for quite a while. So he's been operating the trains, been building his building kits that he had. So you seen it when I had the layout and I was building it. I had the white paper spread out on it. That was a 1-to-1 representation of where he was thinking of placing different building kits because the squares that he had on that corresponded to the layout, base of the buildings. So he's been busy doing that since the layout's been in his home. And like I said, I'm going to reach out today or tomorrow because I haven't talked to him in a few weeks.
Yeah, I'd like to
Last
see
I
what
talked
it
to
looks like now.
Yeah.
Because last time I
How many-
talked to him, he was having fun running the trains, building the kits, and just putting stuff on the layout to see if it's going to work the way he wants it to work for the buildings. And once he gets that where he's happy, then we'll do scenery together, view blocks, start, look at where he's wanting roads. We'll do poured plaster roads in there like I did on my end scale. It's easy to do and they're durable. Build trees. I'll give a tree clinic to him and his family so that they can build, as many scale trees as they want. And we'll get his railroad to completion. Probably, realistically, it probably would be towards the end of the year. Maybe a little later, just depends upon how he's doing on building, the buildings. But continue to work with him until he's got his layout, as done as everybody else's, But that'll be fun.
How many structures does he have built or completed?
I honestly don't know. I know he's got some. He had some built and completed, or at least started even before I started building the layout. And he's been busy. Maybe he's got a third, maybe half by now. Not really sure.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Is it all going to be like industry, or is there going to be like a town? And
it's going to be sort of industry and then railroad associated buildings like freight depot, some center of town kind of type buildings, some businesses. He's modeled his layout on real places here in Virginia. So, he's trying to capture scenes in one or two buildings of different areas that are along the actual route that he's modeled.
Cool.
Sounds good. How high is his layout?
I
think,
if I'm remembering right, I think it was like 56 inches off.
Wow, it's really high.
We had to stand pretty high.
Wow. So it's really at eye level.
Yeah, actually about that, I think. So, yeah, it's quite high. So that he wanted it so that when he's standing and people come to visit, it's, you're looking down, but not by much. It's mostly at eye level, which is going to help because it's a flat layout. We'll do some relief. There's some areas on the outer edges where we can kind of carve and we can put a culvert or a couple of things so that we can have some variation. But at eye level, it's going to be easy to use trees and, like a little, even like a little strip of cardboard painted black and then some trees and some vegetation glued on it to make a very good and simple view block to just kind of isolate some scenes in a few areas so that you have to walk around the layout to be able to see other areas of the layout and see different scenes.
Yeah, so I kind of was under the impression it was like a coffee table level.
Yeah, no, he's got a computer workstation. So he's got it where he can have a roll-up chair. He can work on his computer, and the layout is actually over his head.
Cool.
Can you walk around the whole thing?
Yeah, it's in a spare bedroom in the, I don't want to call it a retirement home apartment, but, senior living apartment. Mm-hmm. So it's in one bedroom. He's got enough room where, you can walk all the way around it. He's got some pretty cool display stuff up on his walls, railroad related. So it's a perfect little man cave, for him, where he can go in and he can have fun and do what he wants to do.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So I've got a question, and kind of looking through chat here, I don't see either Dave, Todd, or Mark. And I was kind of hoping they would be here because it's a question I think they might be able to answer, but I think Steve can answer it too for sure. And
I thought I saw CB&Q. Mark? CB&Q?
Yeah, is he not in? I thought he was not in here.
I thought I saw him earlier.
I guess it doesn't really matter. So here's my question. How do you name a freight train? Is it different than what you would name a passenger train, or number or identify a train? Because I've done a little bit of operating since I completed Maroon Creek, and I've got essentially right now 9 trains that I can run.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like to feel like I'm calling them something that makes sense, because right now I'm just like arbitrarily assigning them names, and I'm curious how it works, at least in a real world setting.
Well, I'm not sure about the narrow gauge, but they would go back. I mean, passenger trains were priority, so they were scheduled. Everything else was an extra. So I mean,
Right, but how do you identify them, like on a piece of paper?
oh, geez, a first class train.
What, I don't understand. Like, give them a name, like the Broadway
Well,
Limited.
I mean, so
Or like extra 290 South or something like that.
exactly.
Well, no.
How do you identify? Like, I've got we'll use my train coming out of Maroon Creek
Mm-hmm.
staging yard that comes in, switches out the interchange track, and goes back. I'm calling that the Maroon Creek turn.
Yeah, or local.
My question is does any railroad, particular railroad, different railroads, is there a system by which, like something that terminates, is the name associated with where it terminates? Is the name associated with where it's built? Is it associated with an east to west route versus a north to south route? What are some indicators that that help how you do that kind of thing?
Let's see.
So
Yeah, you
Mark says each train is assigned a number.
Yeah.
Only passenger. Okay, so how do you come up with the number? What is it that makes a number?
Whatever number you want. They would generally east train would be an even number. The west train would be an odd number.
Yeah.
They were all, any passenger train was scheduled. So if you had a timetable, it would list the first class trains on one section of it and all their times at each station. And anything else that ran on the railroad was an extra. You would
I
have
think I understand the concept of an extra. Okay,
Yeah.
so westbound are odd numbers, eastbound are even numbers. Now, does the number itself, is there any indication in the number as to where the train is generated from? Like, 'cause here's my thought. Like if I generate a train, build a train in Frying Pan, and it's westbound, would that number, like say, since it's westbound, it needs to be an odd number, 101. Would anything originating in Frying Pan begin with a 100 series? And then, like, if it's built in or leaves from staging yard, maybe that's a 200 series. Does that sound like something that they would do?
Yeah.
You could do that.
Yeah. I mean, it's your railroad. You can do anything you want.
Yeah, I don't think.
Well, and I get that, but I'm trying to put feelers out into how other people do it or how the real railroads did it. That way I have at least something to fall back on and kind of a way to begin thinking about it. Passenger trains also had numbers, but also had a name like 2930 was the night crawler. Oh, I like that one. Ran overnight. That's cool. Let's see what other people are saying in here before that chat rolls by me. What's this?
Like
I
Amtrak.
think the UP uses initials of the origin and terminal, like LA to Chicago, as LACH.
Well,
that
would be a freight, though. The passengers never did that.
Well, and I've got both. I've got
Yeah.
passenger service and freight service, so I'm looking at a way to, because you know what the deal is in JMR operations, I've got a list of trains, and keeping them kind of straight from each other.
Yeah.
that's what I'm trying to do, is just look for a way to do
Well,
that.
I can, if I, I could kind of explain how the Santa Fe did it back when they were doing timetables and numbers. Now all the trains are listed like, like he was saying, like a Richmond to Chicago would be RI and then CH. And a lot of times they would have a Q on that, that might depend, that might be a double stack or something. But before they did that, all the freights were numbered, and terminals and areas had numbers as well. Richmond was 9, LA was 8, Chicago was 1, Kansas City was 5, Texas was, I think,
so the number
7.
was, what was the number specifically
So
representative
of the ending terminal and beginning terminal. So say a Chicago bound hot UPS train out of Richmond, okay, it would be a 9 because that's the originating terminal of Richmond, and then the 1 on the tail would be Chicago, and the intermediate number was the priority of the train. So like a 991 was Richmond, Chicago, 9 was the highest priority.
So a 1 would be the lowest priority. What would be an example of a lower priority train?
Okay, say a train going from Richmond to say Kansas City would be a 9. I think we had 975. That would, a lower priority. The lowest priority train was a 1. So we had trains from Richmond to say LA was a 918 train, which was generally a very low priority freight. We had a 928 train, which was basically a long local that would stop, or it would just grab as many cars as it would pull and, go down the railroad at, 25 miles an hour going in the siding for everything. But it was a priority thing. Does that make sense? Oh, and
yeah,
they would all,
that makes some really good sense.
and they would also put, let's say you had 2 928 trains that are originating out of Richmond basically the same time. So you would have a 1-928, and then they would have a dash for the date that it was leaving. So say it's leaving on the first, the first of the month, and it's the first 928 train that day, it would be a 1-928-01. And if they're running a second 928 on that same calendar 24-hour day, would be the 2-928-01. Does that make sense?
Yes, and
Okay.
that's exactly what I was looking for, is an idea of where to begin. I like the idea of each, if my staging yard was the first thing I built, so I could see it being a 1. No trains terminate or originate in Silver Gulch, so it won't get a number. Frying Pan is the second thing I built, so I could see anything originating or terminating in Frying Pan being associated with the 2. So if this is Grand Junction, GJ1, then the next number would be priority, which I don't know that will come into play with me. And then the 2 would say it's going to terminate in Frying Pan. If it eventually ends up terminating in Cloud City or Leadville, I don't know what number, it might be 7, I don't know. But now I kind of understand how to go about approaching naming and numbering trains, because that's always been kind of a mystery to me.
Right, and then if you throw in the passenger trains with the timetable would list all the first class trains that were running that district, you know, and for us, it was little short Amtrak trains that ran from Richmond to Bakersfield and then would turn around and come back. And you had, I think there were, originally they started in the 700 series, like, and if memory serves me, eastbounds were even, westbounds were odd. I could be wrong on that. So like you had 701 and 702, and then you might have, you know, the 703, 704. So they were corresponding passenger trains, and they were listed on the timetable. And if I could find one, I'll look here in a second. They had all the times that those trains would pass a particular station, siding, or whatnot on the timetable, and that was set in stone. The passenger trains would get a time, or to get a trailer, and they just followed their times. Any freight had to basically dodge all the first class trains, and you would get it. Well, it's really hard to explain how the train orders work, but
things probably work different in your era, Dennis.
Mhm.
Well, yeah, and again, my era being 1930, you know, I think some people think that I'm trying to model the 1890s, which is
No, I understand that.
true,
No.
but and again, you know, it's not like I'm just putting feelers out at the moment to kind of have an idea of how it is or was done. I like Heath's idea of actually looking for some timetables on eBay. I may
yeah,
actually have one already in one of my, I can't remember. I've got something in one of my Colorado Midland books, but I can't remember which book it is that might be representative of that, and I just completely forgot about it.
this is an example of a train order that we used to have. They called them flimsies because it's almost tissue paper. They're really flimsy. And what you would do, you would get a like this one is a clearance card. You would get a number. This one is dated July 16, 1985. And it states to C&E conductor and engineer extra 2713 West at Orwood. So this is where you would pick up this. And a freight that had this clearance card would pick up this order at Orwood. And if they couldn't proceed past anywhere till they got this. And these are the ones that they get on the fly, you know, they had the hoops and whatnot. And it's signed by the operator. And this one tells the crew, July 16, 1985, train order form number 331 to C&E Westward Extras at Orwood. And then it says, okay, a good example of, okay, engine 2849 works extra 220, and that's spelled out. Then when you have the numbers, 2:20 p.m. until 5:30 p.m. between Pittsburgh and Maltby. Eastward Extras wait at, and that's where. Oh, my phone's got the battery is not working. Oh, that's good. My phone's gonna die. But wonderful. Anyway, Westward Extras wait at, and then it says Maltby, 5:20 p.m. 7:13 would be this train. Wait at Pittsburgh until 2:55 p.m. So with this, you could go from Orwood to Pittsburgh, and that's telling you where the Amtrak train was going to be. It's really kind of confusing, but you ran your trains on. They called them flimsies. And that's how they moved trains. And then they switched to track warrants, which were so much easier than train orders. But you would have on your timetable, you would have your first class trains that ran on schedule. Anything else ran extra. And there were priorities on that, and they had a lot of times.
So that would be something I would want to consider is what are my thought is eventually I'm going to have what I would consider a through freight that will go from staging to staging, and those would be my priority trains, and then my locals would be the ones that would have to get out of the way. That's kind of the way I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, and that's on yours that'd be perfect. Oops.
Let's see. Fred says when he was running his layout before I tore it apart, that sad day, I just named the trains in JMRI Local 1 Lake, and that's what I've done so far. But what I'm finding is when I look at my train and I see what I've written as a description in there, it's like, well, what is that train doing? And then I have to then I look at another description. It's like, okay. And I'm just trying to find something a little more intuitive, I guess, in being able to glance at the train number, the description or the name, and have a better idea of what it's doing.
Yeah, I just number your originating terminal and your ending terminal, or all your different places on your railroad.
Yeah. Mike says that the RGS stopped running passenger service, so you have to go back before the 1940s before you see any passenger service timetables. Cool.
What you were talking about, looking in books, is probably a good way too for yours, because you're doing narrow gauge, and somewhere you're going to find timetables that other narrow gauges in the Rockies probably used. So that would give you some good ideas too on maybe it's not going to be that different than anything else, but it'll give you an idea of just how you want to do it based on the time and based on what other narrow gauge railroads really did.
Right.
Okay. This is okay. Make me big. This is a timetable from 1985, which is about the same time that train over was, and I don't know if you can see that. Make it bigger. I'm going to try to hold it still, but you can see. Okay, you got Richmond down here, and then on the sides, you had all the first class trains, the numbers, and I think I can't read what that says. Okay, you got 711. 7, okay. And on the other side, you had the opposing trains, and this was Cowboy, which was Fresno. And these are all the sidings and station stops.
Yeah, I think I do have something like that in one of my Colorado Midland books, but to be honest, there's no instructions on how to read it. So maybe that's another part of my education in this, is understanding what the heck that means.
Well, I'm trying to think anything here, but
Daryl, did you find anything of doing a Google search?
Do what?
Did you do a Google search just to look for, again, timetable?
Well, to be honest, I kind of came up with this question just this morning, sitting in the recliner drinking coffee, because I ran a train. I think it was Thursday evening, and because I created Maroon Creek and it wasn't in JMRI, I added it and did some tweaking around, and then I got these 9 different trains, and I'm not happy with the way they're named. And so I was drinking coffee this morning thinking about that, and I thought, you know what, this would be a good question to ask Chad.
Definitely.
I will do that, Mike. I'll send you an email. And what's Heath got to say here? Same trains run every day, so you might have train 46 on Monday to Friday, so everyone knew the train numbers, right? So that's another thing I haven't even taken into consideration, is a quote unquote weekly schedule. And Mike says, Not all trains run every day. Depends on the volume. Kyle says CSX in his area goes by Q and A numbers. North and South tracks stack trains are identified Q. For southbound Q7, gotcha.
Well, and they also used to flag the trains too. If it was a first class train, they had a green flag.
They had a green flag,
and extras had a white one.
Reading the timetable is always an issue. Yeah, that, and I think I do have a timetable for the Colorado and Midland in one of my books, but looking at it, I didn't really understand it. So that's probably something I'll need to look at. There are usually 3 to 4 regular trains. Then everything else is an extra or second section.
Mm.
So yes, not all the extras are second sections. Gotcha. GS trains were numbered in order of creation. So trains got retired and recreated with new numbers. Or was that a reoccurring event, or I guess I don't know that I quite understand what that means.
So like now, like CSX, right? CSX, they retire trains, like they get rid of trains, new trains come. But that, like, their symbols wouldn't apply for you because now they got intermodal trains, and
right,
intermodal trains were symbol different than freight.
Well, you could also
coal was different.
Yours differently with your middle number. Say a cattle train, or a refrigerator train, or a local.
Say that again.
Well, on yours, you could make your center number. You have originating and terminating for your, but you make a middle number for the designation of what kind of train it is. If it's a cattle train, you could number it certain one.
I like that. Of course, I think that would be something I would do if I switched to car card and waybill, because right now JMRI is not going to build the train, or at least I don't know of a way. There might be a way that it would build the train. I guess you could specifically for a type of car, and right now I don't have enough of any. Well, I probably could build a train just of boxcars if I wanted, but that's probably the only train I could build of any length that would be all of one car type.
Mm-hmm. I don't know, Dennis.
I like that idea.
Dennis, when I used to watch Petticoat Junction, they just had the Hootersville Express. That was it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do you have a Hooters on your layout?
Well, I've been to a Hooters.
I don't think it would fit as
many years ago, but no, I think I do not have a Hooters. The 1890s trains were train numbers 1, 2, 3, and by the 1930s, the trains were up to 41, 42, 43. And that's because the 1, 2s, and 3s eventually got retired because the routes changed, or I guess that's a good question. How and why does the train get retired?
Yeah.
I don't know that question. You would have to really talk to somebody that is involved in that. Like, would you know why a train got retired, like annulled, Steve?
No.
An engineer, I don't think would be privy to it. A yard master, maybe, train master, something like that. Yeah. Somebody who's doing that stuff.
I mean, they could annul a train. I mean, they could put out a train order and annul a train, sure.
I mean, that just means we're not building it, right?
I guess, yeah.
Like, why, one day, Q301, and then it's gone. It no longer exists anymore. I don't know why it no longer exists. but it'll change numbers, you know. Like, it's weird. It's like, I don't know.
Well, actually, they would have done that with train orders if they had already given a moving freight train orders for a particular train. And if for some reason that train never made it out of the original terminal, but was on the timetable or on the train order that somebody was working with, yeah, they would have to give a train order saying that that's annulled, so that opposing train not looking for that train. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
So yeah, they wouldn't, in that situation, they would annul a train, but they never annulled a first class train. Those always ran.
I'm not sure that I would have more than one district on my railroad. I'd have to think about that. Of course, the whole thing's not built yet. I'm not even sure how you would differentiate. Okay, I've got an interchange here. I could see that, but really, it's just going to go back and forth. I don't see that being a whole district.
Mm-hmm.
One train moved from Ridgeway to Rico. It got restored since Rico was an interchange, and then proceeded on to Durango. Very cool.
So like Amtrak, like the Crescent is New Orleans to New York City. Meteor is Miami to New York City. The Cardinal, I think, is DC to Chicago or something like that.
Right. And my passenger trains, I do plan on having, cute little names to go with them. I don't know what they'll be yet, but
yeah. So like your freight trains, you just make stuff up. I mean, who's to say you're wrong?
the tower operators with
It's not like your railroad really exists.
Right. Again, it's a good topic of discussion. We wasted a good 25 minutes talking about it. Yeah. and I've learned stuff, because, it's a mystery to me how this works. And I think with a little bit of education in this, I can make better decisions about how it will work on my railroad. Mm-hmm. It will obviously be unique to me, I'm pretty sure, but I like to have a little bit of understanding and history into why I do what I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have a question, because since Heath is here, I got a question, Heath. Like, these are Heath's decals for doing his car, He sends out decal sheets for doing a car, right?
Cool.
So this is where I am with the car right now.
Oh, wait. Let me go big. That's nice.
Right. So I still need to put reporting marks and things like that.
Where do you get these decals?
From Heath.
Why don't I have one?
Yeah, does Heath just give them to people?
Well, I mean,
apparently.
We all tell Dennis he is wrong just because.
Well, now, are those big enough to fit on a smaller car?
He's got
or are they going to be huge and wrap over the top of the roof? Because I've got a car that needs,
he's got
some
N-scale ones.
Does he? Yeah. N-scale would probably work. There might be a tad small for narrow gauge, but I bet it would work just fine.
I mean, you just gotta email Heath. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, he tells you in his streams, his live streams, just email him.
Well, I haven't missed the live stream. Of course, I was a little distracted on the last couple because. Yeah.
So hey, Keith, like, there's all these little tiny numbers. Are there like duplicates or like? I can't even read them. They're so tiny. Like, are there some things that I don't need on this thing? Because there's so many. I can't even read them. They're so tiny. But
that's in scale, right? That's just the
no,
way
this
it
is
is.
HO. This is HO.
Oh, okay. Well,
It's a 40-foot boxcar in HO. Come, look at my hand. Come on. This is HO.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that doesn't look too small to me. I mean,
No.
right?
What do you mean?
I mean, the car looks good.
Oh yeah, but there's like car information that should be here and here.
And you're saying
And it's
that what?
like, look at it. Like,
Well, yeah, but that's I
I
would say
know
that's accurate.
I know, but I can barely read it. Like, I don't know what goes where, and like, do I need it all? Like
Oh,
all
well.
up in here is all these little things. Like, I don't even
template
build.
show you where the locations are.
Yeah, you need like a template to show you what goes like build like. I guess there should be two sets of numbers and information for both sides and the ends. So lots of numbers. Yeah, I know there's lots of numbers. I understand where some things go, but why is there so many build dates? Why do you have so many build dates on here?
What does the RT mean?
Riverside transfer.
Okay.
You can make me smaller. Okay, I'll go back to your website and look.
The white would work better for the HON3 colors, yeah. Of course, to do it right, I would need to paint it angel green for Riverside transfer, which wouldn't be prototypical for me, but it would still be fun. You know, that would be the whole point was to for fun.
Yeah, I've been there, Heath. I mean, it kind of helps, but like I don't understand why there's so many build date decals.
I'm going to call it angel green no matter what.
But that's okay.
Yeah. Well, we're coming close. We got 7 more minutes. What else can we talk about in the next 7 minutes?
No, that's a good question.
Jerry, have you got any? I mean, other than your Riverside transfer car, there, you got anything else you're working on?
I'm starting my bench work.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Got any pictures, or can you go mobile and show us? Or
yeah, I can go mobile and show you.
Cool.
Let me drop out of here and then come in on my phone because I think.
Okay.
I got my train all cleaned up because I'm going to take it out for Father's Day. So I've been polishing brass and wiping. It looks nice and shiny and pretty. So between working a million hours, I popped out and got that done.
Oh, did you ever tell the missus of your excursion that's going to be for
nights? Yeah. I told her, but then they changed it. So we're not going to be going up there and staying. So we're going to be actually driving 3 hours up to this event, running for another 8 to 10 hours, and then driving back for 3 hours. So they're going to be like 15, 16-hour days. So, but yeah, I'll be coming home.
Can't hear too good on my phone.
Oh, that's cool.
Nice.
Hey, that looks nice.
So this is it so far. It's all L girder, and there'll be a fascia. There will be a backdrop and a valance somewhere up here. It'll be 50 inches, 50 inches high. Then
Now,
I plan on doing like a little extension to go that way, right?
cool.
And maybe another one here to go this way a little bit.
Now, are you building it with the idea that you can tear down and take to a show, or is it going to pretty much
No,
be permanent?
no, I'm not going to take it anywhere. And just,
Okay,
this is where it's going to go.
cool.
Yeah.
So what scale is it going to be in, Jerry? Is it going to be N or HO?
HO, basically HO switching layout.
HO, okay.
Yeah.
Is there a prototype you have in mind, or
No, not at all. Just
completely freelance?
18 and myself came up with somewhat of a track plan. I have pictures of it in my community page. But it's just a suggestion. It'll change once I start
Yeah.
putting down stuff. I'm going to put Homosote over this. Homosote will sit on these risers here.
Yeah.
And that's it, basically. But I tell you, the L girder setup very strong.
Yep.
This is 8 foot, and you can pretty much stand on it.
Wow.
Not on Homosote, but if you put something stronger, I mean, it can support a lot of weight. And
Yeah.
the nice thing about it is you can stretch a long way. If I had to do it again, I think I would have made it rectangular and not like this angle, because everything is at angles, since I want my fascia to run flat, these ends are at a 6-degree angle. So things like that are like, I wouldn't do that again, but this is where I'm at. That's it. I can't see chat or anything or.
Gotcha.
Yeah, looks good.
Yeah, you're making good progress. And I like L girder. Years and years and years ago, that's how I built a couple of different layouts.
Yeah.
L girder is just so versatile.
Yeah. I've actually got a little bit of bench work continuing on east and south, east lower, south higher. But I didn't go with L girder on it because it's only going to need to support the spline. So there's not really going to be any weight associated with it at all. I'll probably show that next week. I'm hoping that by the end of the day today, I'll actually have, because there's still one turnout associated with Maroon Creek that is not in yet, and that's the throat switch to the yard, so to speak. And once it's put in, then like if you watch the latest update, I do an interchange, but I have to do it from 2 different directions. I don't know if anybody noticed that or not, but I had to pull out, back up, pull out on both ends of the yard because I don't have enough track going east that I could pull past with a full length of train because I don't have that other turnout down there at the other end yet. I'm hoping to have that put in, at least the bench work, by the end of the day today.
Hey Heath, the only reason why it's painted is because it started out life painted. I used finger jointed primed pine to do that.
Cool.
And the reason why I use finger jointed is usually it's pretty straight and it stays straight. It's good 1x material.
What does finger jointed mean?
So they're made up of little sections of wood that are joined together like this. So, instead of one big long 8 foot, 10 foot, these were 16 footers that were cut in half. So, and like basically they stay flat, they stay straight, and because it's engineered for trim and house. It's
Are they
really
more economical than plywood? Are they more economical than ripping your own plywood?
No and yes, because you can only get 8 foot sections in plywood, right?
Okay, so the advantage is the
length. Like if you wanted to make a 12-foot L girder, and you can, they say that you can span 12 foot with an L girder set up, and then you're not doing sections. But I mean, it just depends what you're doing. Yeah,
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's our show, gentlemen.
Yeah.
I think so. We made it.
So
We made it.
I guess
Another hour.
we made it, and no catastrophes. I guess we'll just have to see how next week goes. Bill, will you be here?
Yeah, I'll be here next week.
He'll be retired next week.
He'll be retired. I wasn't sure when you were jetting off to Thailand or not. So
yeah, that'll be on the 16th. So
I may or may not be here. Claude should be back. So thanks everyone for watching, and
see everybody. Have a good
we'll see
week.
you next weekend.
Have a great week, guys.
Yeah, take care.